Hi, guys.
Hi.
It's so good to see you face to face, Christina.
Likewise. I got to know, though, I have to ask you this. When you guys got up this morning, how much thought did you put into your outfits?
Well, I always say, dress for the podcast you want to be a guest on. So,
words to live by. Hey, I'm Cristina Quinn, and this is Try This. Today, we're talking to Rachel Tashjian, fashion critic for The Washington Post, and Shane O'Neill, who writes the Post's style memo. And they are going to help us identify and cultivate our personal style. What is the difference between fashion and personal style?
Fashion is, I guess I would say the easiest way to put it is that fashion is driven by the ideas of designers, which are tethered to seasons and trends. And personal style is your own sense of how you want to look, and often incorporates the ideas that come out of fashion.
Okay.
But it's more personality driven and more a product of your imagination.
I would even say fashion is like publishing. Like fashion is the publisher that makes the books and style is grammar.
Whoa. I'm going to be thinking about that.
Everyone has grammar. Everyone knows how to construct a sentence.
Right.
And just because you're not a published author doesn't mean you don't know how to speak English.
Bazinga! I love that. Okay, now I get it. Thanks. How long did it take for you to develop your own personal style? Or is it still evolving?
I mean, it evolved. There's a photo of me. Oh boy, there's a photo of me in college wearing these really horrible platform ankle boots that I got from Hot Topic with a black slip, a skirt slip with a t-shirt from that brand Porn Star. Do you remember that brand Porn Star? And I'm smoking a cigarette out of a cigarette holder. And I remember at the time being like, well, it just doesn't get any better than this. I look absolutely incredible. And these days it's a photo I look at and literally am just covered in shame. Now, the thing is that it's always just a process. So I think that I'm proud of myself for trying all of those things, even if I don't feel great about how it looks by today's standards. Everything you wear is going to tell a story, and there is hopefully fun in deciding how you tell that story. Mm-hmm. But if it's giving you anxiety, it's also just clothes. And there's many more important stories than what you're telling with your clothes. So if it's taking away more than it's giving you, then just don't worry about it.
Okay, excellent. Rachel, what about you? How long did it take for you to develop your personal style?
My style actually changes all the time. So I would say I dressed a certain way when I was in my 20s. That's very different from how I dress now. I'm now in my late 30s, and I would say that is also very different. I can feel that my style is changing from what it was 5 years ago. So I think that, age and where you are in your life and what you're doing is such an important factor in what you're wearing. I mean, you can change careers, you can change relationships. I mean, all of those things can have an effect on what you wear.
Right. I love that. So true. I mean, I love the idea because I feel mine's sort of constantly evolving. I would love to get into sort of advice for someone who doesn't necessarily know where to begin and when it comes to developing their own personal style. Because I think there's just so much out there now. There's so many choices. And then you factor in fast fashion and the ability to order anything on the fly, and it can arrive within hours. And I just think maybe sometimes we feel a little overwhelmed and lost. And as a result, a lot of people end up overbuying. But yeah, I mean, Rachel, what do you say to that about sort of where can one start without feeling overwhelmed?
I would say go shopping without buying anything. Go into stores, that things you can afford, things you can't afford, and just try things on and look at how things fit you. Look at what you're really responding to in terms of designers, in terms of shapes and silhouettes. I think very often we underutilize store employees who can be very helpful with, this actually, you should take a bigger size in this than you usually would because the fit is different, or you should try wearing this in this way. And yeah, but don't buy anything, just try. And I think that the solution often to the struggles around, personal style or knowing what to wear is having more knowledge, not necessarily having more clothing.
I would add, don't be scared of a uniform. I think that there's a lot of fashionable people, stylish people. There's a lot of people who literally work in fashion who are designing new looks every single day and literally are like, and I'm just going to wear the same thing every single day so that I never think about it. I say don't be scared of a uniform, or don't be scared of buying several of the same things. I have 2 of these Telfar shorts. I have 4 of the same t-shirt in different colors. There's a certain nightgown that I wear as a dress that I have 4 different versions of. The other thing I would throw on there is ask. Don't be afraid to ask someone what they're wearing. I think Rachel can confirm this. Now that we're forced to go back to the office, one of the joys of it is that I do get to see what Rachel is wearing every day. And I don't know, has a day gone by, Rachel, that I have not asked you what you're wearing? The very first thing that I say when I see you is asking you about something you're wearing.
That's true.
Also, people love to tell you what they're wearing. People love to tell you where they got it. They love to tell you how much they paid for it.
Yes.
It makes them feel special. Don't be scared to ask someone where they got something if you like it.
Yes. Talking to strangers about clothing, it's really a fun thing to do.
I would also throw in there, if you are a man and you don't have an audibly gay voice, try to adopt one. Because people, when they know you're not hitting on them, it really goes a long way. But if you're a straight man on the subway, try to lisp or ask your gay friend to start the conversation so that they don't think that you're hitting on them.
That's really great advice. Mm-hmm. Great advice. Try this. Mm-hmm. Adopt the voice of a gay man. I would love to know what you say. What do you say to somebody who just needs to work on building their confidence when it comes to dressing?
This is a difficult topic for me because I've always liked to dress eccentrically and draw attention to myself. So, we all have different struggles. This has just not been my struggle. One thing I would recommend that I do when I'm trying something new is I would say if you're feeling unsure about something you're wearing, try to wear it to an event that has a time limit on it with someone that you like. So for example, if I have a new dress that I'm not sure if it really works for me or not, wear it just to go out to dinner with my best friend. And then maybe even halfway through dinner, you can be like, girl, what you think about this dress? But also you don't have to listen to anyone else. But basically just that I would say the Olympics of wearing an outfit are the days when I leave my house at 8 in the morning and know that I won't be back till 3 in the morning. Mm-hmm. So that's the day that I don't want to be trapped in my, me being what if I'm a cowboy? And then, I have to go to 5 different things dressed as a cowboy. Whereas if I'm just having dinner or a movie with someone that I like, there's a 2-hour window and you can see how you feel when you get home.
Excellent. That's a great tip. Okay. And what about you, Rachel? Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think there's been, especially if you look at social media a lot, there has been so much anxiety about personal style and how to develop it. And it's become this rocket science sort of thing. And I think the goal for most of us should be to have a wardrobe of clothing that is almost foolproof, and you have things that, almost like having recipes in your arsenal. I know this can come together quickly and it's going to taste great or look great or feel great.
Right.
And not everything has to be you can wear it every day. That's not necessarily what I'm proposing, but you should have something that feels really great to wear to a black tie wedding, something that feels really great to wear, out to brunch with your friends, and then some things that feel really good to wear into the office, 1 or 2 things that feel really good to wear when you have a scary meeting. And I think you don't have to rake your mind being what are one of the things I cannot stand is this idea that there are 3 words that you should have that define your style. And it's I just feel all of these people are am I bohemian? Am I uptown? Am I downtown? It's no, it's not that difficult, It can be, fashion can be a playground and it should be really fun to play and experiment, but not everyone has to go to the playground every day,
Right. No, I love hearing that. I think when you're young, when you're sort of trying to figure out who you are, and I'm talking about adolescence, there is always a fear of being accused of being inauthentic or being a wannabe or being a poser. And I think that can inform a lot of how we develop or put together an outfit, even into adulthood.
No, I think that's totally true.
And sort of keep them restrained in terms of having fun. And I think that maybe having fun should be talked about more.
I would love to regurgitate two things that Rachel has said that have really helped me personally. Number one, in Rachel's very excellent newsletter, Opulent Tips, Rachel wrote just like, don't bother with high heels if you don't like them. There's plenty of options for flats. That was like a real mind blower for me because I do love the way that high heels look and my ankles can no longer abide them. Not that I was a daily high heel wearer, but you know. And that,
what kind of high heels would you wear?
Well, I had like, hot tip, if you have wide feet and are looking for big, good supportive high heels, go to the Halloween store and get Ellie brand platform heels.
Smart.
Also, platforms are your friends because they look high when they're not actually that high. And don't be scared of a chunky heel because it's like that much harder. But all of that said, flats, wear flats. Flats feel great. I would go one step further. Go to a podiatrist and get orthotics. Like get a pair of custom orthotics. They cost like $100. Take out the insoles that come with them, put the orthotics in, and it will be a game changer.
Brilliant. Another
thing, I asked Rachel for advice because I'm still hung up on a health goth aesthetic, which was very popular like 10 years ago, but I still can't get enough of it. Like health goth being this like sort of subcultural thing of like wearing athletic wear, but it's kind of like dark and meshy and moody. And I was like, how do I get over this? And Rachel said, why should you get over it? If you like it, keep wearing it. Like there's no need to throw out your wardrobe just because something's gone out of style. And I have to say, on a personal note, Rachel, that was very helpful for me. And it was actually quite a game changer. I think also just in terms of authenticity, the worst thing that you can look like is a fashion victim, meaning someone who is just going out and buying something because someone else told them to buy it. Like, it's okay to hold on to things that work for you.
Yes. All right. Okay. So how can somebody experiment with style without feeling like they're being inauthentic?
I mean, I would start with just start with your values. I think that I spent my 20s going to live music a lot and playing shows and trading merch with other bands. So I think about that as sort of like a starting point where, when I was 24, wearing a band that you love on a t-shirt is an easy way to be like, these are my values. I love this band and I want you to know that I love this band and therefore it is. So, I don't wear a whole lot of band t-shirts these days, but I think that ethos is something that I still sort of think about, where a good place to start experimentally is to start with something that sort of does line up with what your values are in terms of like, if you believe in the brand or the company or the designer, or less than that, just if you want to project utilitarianism, look for like some simple workwear, or if you want to project the idea of fun and attention, and I'm someone to talk to at a party, look for things that catch the light. I think that sort of idea of starting with what do I want to say about myself and finding clothes that support that, it's a little vague. What do you think, Rachel?
I mean, I look at images of other people's outfits a lot. And I also, when I walk around, I take pictures of people's outfits. Like I'll try to like sneak behind them and take a picture. I find a lot of inspiration in that. And I do find a lot of inspiration also in fashion magazines. I mean, Harper's Bazaar, where I worked before I came to the Post, has really incredible fashion editorials, as does T Magazine. I'm not so much a fan of Vogue America's fashion editorials, but there are a lot of ideas of how to wear clothes and how to style things, which I find really helpful. I mean, Pinterest is also something that I use quite a lot. I love looking at old images by Bill Cunningham. I love looking at the old images by the Sartorialist. I just find a lot of that really inspiring, and it gives me a lot of ideas, even how to wear, a t-shirt in a different way.
What would you say to somebody who's like, I just wish I were a little bit more bold in my choices and I don't know how to get there without feeling insecure? What advice would you give them?
I guess one idea I would say, I mean, something that I just think is helpful is don't be scared to drink from the same well. Don't be scared to go back to the well and drink from it again, to go back to something that has worked for you. So I guess maybe reverse engineer it by thinking, what is something that I felt good in or didn't think about, or came home, looked in the mirror, said, I feel great. I love leaving the house wearing this. And then maybe think about what is one thing you could tweak on it that would challenge you a little bit. Like maybe think about what would it look like in a different color, or what would it look like if it were 6 inches shorter or, 5 inches longer.
Yeah.
I mean, another thing, I think earrings, if your ears are pierced or not, I guess you can have clip-ons, although clip-ons are so painful. The beautiful thing about an earring is that that, like, first of all, wear one earring at a time. You automatically double the number of earrings that you can wear. But if not, you can also always take them off. If your ears get tired or you decide they're too funky or they're bothering you or it was a mistake, earrings can go right back in your purse or pocket, and you can be back to whatever you were wearing to begin with.
Right. I mean, any piece of jewelry, really, you could always just take it off. I love earrings. I love big statement earrings.
Same.
And you can't tell because I have to always wear headphones for work. But if I weren't wearing headphones right now, I know what earrings I'd be wearing with this outfit.
What are they?
They are these amazing hand-beaded earrings of Frida Kahlo that I haven't seen anyone else wear. I haven't seen them anywhere. I got them at a bodega in Washington, D.C.
Oh, perfect.
Like 4 years ago. And they came from Guatemala. And every time I wear them, people always compliment them and comment on them. But that's what I would wear with this outfit. I might put them on afterwards. How should one approach how they get dressed for the day?
My number one message for this, which is maybe counterintuitive, is just don't think too hard about it. I think that not being scared is the number one directive that I would have. But short of just like basic appropriateness, I think getting dressed for the day is about making sure that you feel comfortable on like every level in terms of like physical, emotional, cultural, just like comfort, I think is really underrated in how we get dressed.
Okay. All right. I like that. Comfort first. What about you, Rachel?
Comfort is primarily what I think about as well, both emotionally and in terms of the fabrics that I'm wearing. I do, as Shane suggested, I look at my calendar. I also look at the weather app because I wear a lot of clothes that it wouldn't be ideal to get caught in the rain, so I want to make sure that I'm wearing shoes or a jacket or something that is going to be okay if the weather gets sour. I think about, for example, my grandmother, who she didn't wear a lot of designer clothes or anything like that, but she knew these kind of rules and codes of fashion and style that I think have sort of been lost to time. And my mother knows a lot of these as well. I mean, all of my mother's clothing, even if she gets her t-shirts at Marshall's, everything is like beautifully tailored, and she'll go and get a pair of pants taken in just a little bit so they look perfect. And I feel like a lot of those rules about what to wear and how to wear things, younger generations, we either don't know those things or we think that they're useless. And I think that that's so liberating and exciting. And that's what makes walking around, for example, a city like New York so cool and fun. But I also find myself drawn to those kinds of like, oh, well, if you're in the office, like, not that there should be a dress code, but there are certain kinds of like fabrics and shapes and styles that you should wear. And I never know I'm always thinking about the tension between those two things and like how to navigate it and how much to play with it, how much to, obey either side of those things. And I think that's something that a lot of people, you're thinking about that.
Yes.
Even if it's not conscious.
Right. I think that I completely agree with you. I think that there's some sort of, like, there is a struggle sometimes about sort of how to reconcile these two ideas of like wanting to look polished and also wanting to be comfortable and looking professional, but also just realistic about how you move throughout the day.
I would toss in there that if you are feeling unsure or anxious about what you're wearing, I think it's always smart to err on the side of modesty and overdressing rather than underdressing. The times that I've felt the most marked by my clothing is when I'm like, oh no, I'm wearing not enough clothes that are not formal enough. And, once in a while I will be like, oh, I feel a little monastic in whatever I'm wearing. But honestly, I think counter-programming like that can be really good.
Right. And you can still be bold if you're covering yourself up.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. What about thrifting? Sustainable brands. Where should people go if they want to keep it sustainable?
I buy almost all of my clothing secondhand.
Really? That's really good to know.
And that's in part why I encourage people to go into stores and try things on, because then you can go home and say, hey, wait a minute, like, I can't afford a $3,000 Prada jacket, but I loved the way that Prada leather jacket fit me. It was like perfect. And you can go on the Real and find a Prada jacket that's like $300.
Right.
And so, that is primarily how I buy most of my clothing. The number of brands that describe themselves as sustainable, there's always like something that doesn't quite add up. And very often, I think these labels are put onto brands as a marketing, sort of exercise and a way for you to justify to yourself buying something.
Right.
You're
right.
not making necessarily a better choice, but you feel like you're making a better choice. I really like this app called Gem, which
GEM?
Yes, which scrapes almost all of the secondhand sites, including the Real and eBay and Etsy and all of those things. And you can set up alerts. I have an alert for Prada skirt size 44. And every time there's a new Prada skirt, I get a little ding on my phone.
That's fantastic. I did not know about this site. Gem.
Yeah, it's so helpful.
I mean, this also might sound like a cop-out, but I really mean this from the bottom of my heart and from literally years of research and trying to get into this. There's, for the time being, and hopefully this can change in the future somehow, for the time being, just don't focus too hard on your own individual choices as a consumer. There's always something really rough going on one way or the other. If you want to know more about like the real complexities of sustainability and also ethical, exchanges and payments and ethically consumed clothing, I mean, a good place to start is the podcast Wardrobe Crisis, hosted by Claire Press. It's a podcast that's fully devoted to this. She's also written books on the topic, but it's a much more complicated topic than I think people give it credit for. And also, just as of right now, at least in the United States, there's some legislation in Europe that is I think seeking to change this, but in the United States, there's just no sustainable can mean anything. Sustainable could mean because you're using cotton, so it's a natural fabric, but that takes tons and tons and tons of water. Or it could mean that it was, dyed using plant-based dyes, but if it's imported from another country, that's a lot of carbon footprint from the transportation of it. I think that until we're in a place where there can be sort of like industry-wide regulation on these things, I think you should treat them as individual choices.
Right.
Pinterest also has a search function where you can narrow by body type and size. I'm a fat gentleman, and I found that very helpful. That I personally think that you can draw inspiration from looking at clothes on any sort of body. But if you are specifically like, I wonder if this would look okay on my body type, Pinterest does have a search option that allows you to search for larger or smaller frames.
Okay, because I haven't used Pinterest as inspo in a long time, though I will say my 12-year-old daughter does.
Because Google Images is so oriented now towards selling you clothing, it's very difficult to use it to research clothing.
Yes.
So Pinterest is a much better tool. Another great resource is the Met collections. The Metropolitan Museum of Art has their entire Costume Institute archive is on their website. So you can search that. And FIT in New York City also has an incredible museum, and their collection is also online.
You've been very generous with your time and your advice.
That's been great.
I'm walking away from this feeling more emboldened, but also validated. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Good. That's the whole idea. You got to feel the end game is to feel good.
That's right. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, you guys. You can follow Rachel and Shane on Instagram at The Prophet Pizza and at Shane Island. And for their hot takes on all things style and fashion, never lukewarm, read their stuff on the Post. And of course, subscribe to Shane's Style Memo. His newsletter always leaves me in stitches. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And the best way to support this work is by subscribing to the Washington Post. You can do that at washingtonpost.com/subscribe or through the link in our show notes. And finally, if you have suggestions for what kinds of courses you'd love to hear, please send them our way at trythis@washpost.com. This episode of Try This is produced and hosted by me, Cristina Quinn. Additional producing by Taylor White and Charla Freeland. The episode was edited by Allison Michaels and Kanya Krit von Kidkajorn. Sound design and mixing is by Sam Baer. Theme music is by Catherine Anderson. Show art is by Kati Huertas. Find our courses on how to get better sleep, making the most of your friendships, demystifying gut health, and how to break free from your dopamine addiction right here on the Try This feed. Thanks for listening.